Iditarod In Focus 2020. An in-depth look at the last great race.
The 48th Iditarod Trail Sled Dog Race takes off this weekend. The ceremonial start begins tomorrow morning at 10 at 4th and D. That's in downtown Anchorage, and the restart beginning at 2 on Sunday afternoon at the Willow Community Center. This year, 57 mushers to be competing to be the first under the Burled Arch in Nome. Hi, everybody, and thanks for joining us on this Friday, ceremonial start eve. We are Getting in Focus, our special getting you set for the last great race over this next half hour. So let's get to some of the details already. We have a list for you. Got plenty of them, actually. It includes former winners. There you go. Lance Mackey and Martin Boozer, along with Mitch Seavey, Your Life Seth Olson, and last year's champ Pete Kaiser. He's on deck as well. The mushers, of course, coming from all over the country, Alaska certainly, Georgia, Michigan, Minnesota, Montana, and Wisconsin all represented. And of course, this is now an international race with 5 countries making the trek this year. The United States and Canada with Denmark, Norway, and Italy. Iditarod 2020 will start with 15 women and 42 men. That's the split for the 57 teams. And of course, the race alternates routes. This year, it's even. So that means it goes through the northern route from Ophir to Cripple, Ruby, Galena, and Nulato. We're coming to see all of you. Looking forward to that. Get ready. We'll be there, and so will the teams. Iditarod 48 getting ready to go. Well, the race, as we mentioned, is a global race now. The routes are still truly Alaskan, and it's a big reason why last year's winner was such a popular choice. KTVA's John Thane traveled to Bethel to check in with Pete Kaiser, whose breakthrough victory had been years in the making.
Last year, Alaska watched a new champion cross the finish line in Nome. With a historic run, Pete Kaiser became the first person of Yupik descent to win the Iditarod.
To see this huge crowd here and so many family and friends from back home, it's really neat.
He was born and raised in Bethel, 300 miles from the nearest highway. His father, Ron, is from Kansas. His mother, Janet, is native Yupik.
All right, boys, good work.
The family started to raise more dogs. And soon, young Pete was driving his own sled on the Kuskokwim River.
Kind of a joke, you know, like, do you really want your kid to become a musher? It's such a crazy lifestyle, you know.
But it proved to be good training. And by the time he was in college, mushing had taken over.
Spent the whole semester in Fairbanks watching Iditarod videos and, you know, going online and just researching as much as I possibly could, and I was just completely fascinated with it. I failed most of my classes because I was just thinking about dog mushing.
And what better place to begin than Bethel's biggest event of the year? The Kuskokwim 300.
Growing up, it was just like the coolest thing going on.
The 300-mile dog sled race brought the world's top mushers to Pete's backyard.
Rural Alaska is so different, you know, we don't have professional sports teams, we can't go to a Laker game. That type of stuff is so far out there, but we can have, you know, the best mushers in the world come right to our community and race through these villages and go to the schools and say hi to the kids and shake people's hands, and that's unique. It's special for kids, and I remember feeling the same way as a kid. Hanging out with mushers, it was like...
After college, Kaiser would compete with his role models and eventually beat them. This year, his number of K300 wins climbed to 5.
Totally blessed, and it's awesome to share this with the community and see everybody get such a big kick out of it.
What's up, Bill?
And he says this year's team has what it takes. It also has a future.
Good dogs.
Hopefully we get to spend a bunch of time running down the trail, you know. I think they're going to be good. Got phenomenal genetics and all the right stuff, and they're cute.
They also have a great teacher and good role models. And with that, Kaiser says, anything is possible.
And he's impressive, tough out for sure. He's now 32 years old, entering as, of course, the defending champion, and this will be his 11th consecutive Iditarod. He He's finished the 10 previous. In 2010, he was 28th, and that is noteworthy. It was the only time outside the top 20. 6 of those 10 finishes are top 10s, which means if you're trying to find Pete Kaiser's name on the leaderboard, you better start on the first page. That's generally where you're going to find him. Well, before it was mush on, it was party on. Last night, the annual Iditarod Mushers Banquet over at the Denana Center. The meet and greet is a popular event when mushers draw for those starting positions for the race. And while the banquet's a thrill for fans, one musher got a charge out of last night's event for yet another reason. A rookie, Sean Underwood, will run 4-time champion Jeff King's team. On Monday, King had emergency surgery for a hernia and perforated intestine. He's doing better now. But Tuesday, Underwood went from understudy right to the big stage.
For him to trust me with his dogs out on the trail in a last-minute kind of situation like this is just, it means a lot. And you know, I've been holding back tears most this week, so it's pretty special.
Got some butterflies going there. Good luck. The ceremonial start begins again tomorrow in Anchorage at 10. Restart on Sunday in Willow at 2. And KTVA has you covered from all the angles and all the platforms, all the way to Nome. We're ready to bring it to you. Looking forward to that for sure. How about sitting down with our CEO of the race? That's Rob Urbeck, and we'll speak with him about the future of the race and how he plans on keeping the culture of it while incorporating a new vision. Plus, massage has been a long staple for athletes. We'll bring the story of one woman who is giving back to the sport with dog massages. Coming up.
And if you are heading to downtown tomorrow morning, not much in the way of sunshine. Snow is back in the forecast. I'll have a full look at what to expect for the weekend and ahead. But first, a look at daylight amount hours for Saturday, March 7th, the first day of finally seeing over 11 hours of daylight. Sunrise of 7:39 with a sunset of 6:42.
KTVA weather with meteorologist Aaron Morris.
Well, if you stepped outside earlier today or any of the past several days with that sunshine we saw, you may have come across a sun halo. This is what we like to call a 22-degree sun halo, and it's due in large part to those high cirrus clouds that have begun to filter into the region. The higher in the sky, roughly about 20,000 feet, that's where we're seeing those ice crystals, where that sun is refracting off of that and creating this 22-degree sun angle. Of course, thanks to Diana Johnson for sending in this photo. If you have any, you can find us on Facebook, Twitter, or email us here at the station. Of course, the KTVA weather app as well. You can send in your weather photos of what you're seeing each and every day. Something that you could do for tomorrow when we're talking about the Iditarod forecast. You can snap some photos and send in to us. Starting off the day right around 10 a.m. for the ceremonial start, with temperatures sitting in the upper teens, climbing into the lower 20s by 1 p.m. Now, the better chance of seeing some snow that's going to hold off in the latter portion of the afternoon hours, but some light snow is possible. And of course, the snow depth in the city right now is sitting at 22 inches. So through the overnight hours, we are going to see those snow showers beginning to filter in. Most of that moisture are still impacting a good portion of the Prince William Sound. It's going to fall apart over the Chugach Mountain Range, but we could squeeze out a few flurries overnight into early tomorrow morning. And then by 10 a.m., right around the ceremonial start, you can see most of Anchorage is going to be on the drier side up under overcast skies, but we could squeeze out a few flurries. It's by the latter portion of the afternoon hours into the early evening when we tap into more moisture, and that's where we're going to see our better chance of seeing some snow as we head into the weekend. And that's going to stick around through the overnight hours Saturday into Sunday and linger well into Sunday. But we're not talking about significant accumulation for Anchorage. Most of what we're going to see is anywhere from 1 to 3 inches, with higher amounts falling across the Susitna Valley, where we're already beginning to see some winter weather advisories in place. So with that being the case, the snow depth likely going to continue to increase for the 2020 Iditarod. You can see Anchorage sitting at 22 inches just west of Wasilla and Squintna. We've got nearly 50 inches of snowfall, and with 6 to 16 inches expected across the Susitna Valley. Would not be surprised to see that beginning to push its way towards that 60-inch mark. And then as we head towards Nome, you can see those totals do get lower, 12 inches right around as you head towards a good portion of the coastal regions of the Seward Peninsula. So what are we talking about in terms of the temperatures? Well, it's going to be a cold trail ride. You can see CPC temperature outlook shows through at least March 12th, through at least the next 2 weeks, really. We're going to stay on the cold side for a good portion of South Central, and it's certainly going to feel even colder by this time next week. We're going to be talking about those temperatures sitting in the teens. So this weekend it's going to be warm. We're 24 degrees tomorrow, 29 degrees Sunday, could potentially even touch the lower 30s. And then once that snow tapers off, we're going to see the sunshine return, and then those temperatures, they are going to plummet with it. We're back into the teens Wednesday and Thursday with overnight lows hovering near 0 degrees. So tomorrow it's going to be 12 degrees in Fairbanks, 13 in McGrath, 24 in Anchorage, 36 in Kodiak with some evening flurries in the forecast, and of course 33 degrees for Juneau. And you can see still cold along the slope where temperatures are going to struggle to break the 0 degree mark. Southeast Alaska, some PM snow north. Now we're only talking about just a trace to shy of an inch of snowfall likely. 39 degrees for Sitka, so some sunshine across the southern tier of Southeast. 37 degrees for Craig, and the warm spot coming in with Ketchikan at 41 degrees. Some light snow across the Kenai. You can see 24 degrees for Kenai, 29 for Seward, and 36 degrees for Kodiak. Anywhere from 1 to 2 inches of snowfall is possible across the Kenai with localized heavier amounts, but the highest snowfall totals are going to be across Prince William Sound, where we could see anywhere from about 5 to 8 inches of snowfall, even higher across the Susitna Valley. You can see Glen Allen coming in with a temperature of 10 degrees. So the valley, there is that winter weather advisory, 6 a.m. tomorrow until 6 a.m. Monday. So you can expect some snow showers for Willow for this restart Sunday morning. You can see those afternoon temperatures topping out in the mid-20s tomorrow. And then across Anchorage, 24 degrees, 25 in Girdwood with snow showers beginning to linger into the afternoon and early evening hours. Again, 1 to 3 inches of snowfall is possible. And then the snow showers taper off by Monday. Enjoy those temperatures in the 20s because we are back into the teens by the middle of next week up under mostly sunny skies. Sub-zero lows return at least once or 1 or 2 days as we head into next week. And of course, as we head into next week, make sure to spring forward those clocks tomorrow night into Sunday.
Sure, thinking spring as we look at those low zeros.
Not feeling like spring, but we'll take it.
No, sir, thank you. We're packed for the trail there with that advice. Thanks. Good advice for sure, Aaron. After 25 years of leading the race, Stan Hooley, the longtime CEO, made last year his last year. And what it meant was that the Iditarod needed a new leader. And the race went outside the state for him and to Rob Urbach, who joined up from USA Triathlon. That was this past June. And his vast resume and vision for its future attracted those decision makers. I sat down with Urbach at Iditarod headquarters on what exactly he was doing this time last year.
Wow, yeah, it was a great question. I was living in Colorado, and unwinding I was the CEO of USA Triathlon, and so it was these are one-day events.
The Iditarod asks for more: a week and a half and 1,000 miles across Alaska.
And the complications of that, I'm just learning how extraordinary it is that the team that puts together and how engaged and how passionate they are to be able to execute along the trail. Logistically, is we're fully immersed in right now.
And when it comes to care of the dogs, he says no one should ever question their quality or commitment.
We threw 1,200 dogs through EKGs, through blood work, full exams, and this is better wellness care than certainly almost all dogs and probably most humans get.
His background combines business, entertainment, and sports. He's worked at Octagon, a worldwide agency. And he began his career with David Falk, one of the most influential agents in the NBA's history. On that client list, Michael Jordan.
Working for those type of athletes that are pretty demanding and learning how to sort of redefine their celebrity value and manage their career for the long haul is important for the branding stage of the Iditarod. You know, in Michael's case, for example, his last years of his career, he transcended the sport. You know, we didn't enable others to use him in playing basketball. So if you look at the last years of the Nike commercials and everything, it's a whole different dynamic. So it's really about the brand. I think the Iditarod also has a powerful brand. It's very authentic. It's very the embodiment of tenaciousness. And so understanding that's very similar in the likes that the Michael Jordans of the world became big global brands, and as is the Iditarod. So learning how to really brand that and how to leverage media and how to build in sponsors as well, and how to give value back to all of our partners. Well, imagine if we could fly a drone over every team, and you as a viewer could decide which team you want to follow. I want to follow Ali Zirkle. I want to follow Jeff King. I want to follow Pete Kaiser. And imagine being able to do that and switch it back and forth and leverage some of the technology that enables us to be innovative with us not losing our core mojo of the event.
But he's still learning on the job. Despite a meeting this past fall with the animal rights group PETA, the odds are slim the two sides will ever find any common ground.
I learned through that process that Pete had very little interest in having any objective conversation about dog welfare. We're moving forward with an independent review panel to look at our rules, look at things like rest-run ratios, kennel standards, et cetera, with and without PETA. You know, my sense is they're very interested in fundraising. I'm not sure they really, they haven't demonstrated there's really interest, that they care about what happens in our kennels or at a race. So they don't seem to want to have a broad, objective conversation about it, unfortunately.
So he looks ahead.
We're doing things on a long-range planning dynamic where we can get more juniors interested in the sport. I think one key is important for us is a race to relevance. The notion that here's a sport that's rooted in some tradition and culture and history, and yet dogs are hot, right? So dogs are super hot all around the country, and combining those two things and finding new ways to engage younger generations and new mushers will pay off in the long haul.
Rob Erbach, the Iditarod CEO, and a lot more with our discussion on our website. That's at KTVA.com. Well, this year, the Iditarod's offering fans a chance to get in on the action. No, not the sleds, but Erbach brought the idea in. For $10, the Iditarod trifecta lets spectators from around the world guess who will win, when, and with how many dogs. And here's how they divvy up the money. 40% of the proceeds going to the winner, 40% going to the race, and the rest going to the top 20 finishers. Deadline getting close this Sunday. If you want to find a link, you can enter. Head to KTVA.com. A woman with a special gift is helping prepare some Iditarod teams for this weekend's race, getting some of the best conditioned athletes ready to go. We will introduce you to the lady behind Doggy Massages. And welcome back, everybody. Getting in focus for the 2020 Iditarod. To go 1,000 miles, you need to be physically ready. But no matter how well conditioned you are, an injury can play the X factor. And without a team, a musher has no race. One woman is helping teams get set for what lies ahead.
Hey, come here. Come here.
The concept is nothing new. A top athlete getting prepped for competition with a massage. Of course, here the star has 4 legs.
Good boy.
Massage therapy for dogs? Yeah, it's a thing.
I want to get back into his right front leg and see if he just pulled away just cause or if there's a tender spot.
Katie Mertens, owner of the Right Spot Pet Massage, is ensuring Whack-A-Mole and his teammates are ready for the last great race.
Before a big sporting event, you want to make sure the muscles are really limber, that there's no restrictions going on.
Because Sunday starts the 1,000-mile trek for Nome. And Katie can relate.
I have come from Chicago.
It's not her first trip. She was here last summer. And after taking a sled dog ride, she was hooked.
They're just such amazing dogs. And you hear so many things about them. To meet them, you're like, God, they're just awesome dogs.
So she wrote to this year's Iditarod Mushers offering her services. And veteran Karin Hendrickson said yes.
Well, all the dogs can benefit from massage. It just makes them feel good, and these are athletes, so their muscles are working hard. It's great for them.
Another musher accepted, but there are 57 teams in this year's race, which means 55 said no.
I think we're really leery about having strangers come into our dog lots.
Concern over animal rights activists making trouble. Concern here? Hardly. It's royal treatment for top athletes.
To me, it's quite an honor to work on these dogs because they are like the Olympic athletes.
But there's something else at work, the healing. It's a two-way street.
So I'm legally blind. I have no vision in my right eye and some vision in my left.
It's been that way for about 20 years. Diabetes the culprit. Katie's first career? Special education teacher.
Good job.
So it's easy to see where that gentle, caring demeanor comes from.
I can see his face, not 100% clearly, but I can see him.
Watching and listening.
I have the world's greatest job.
As 2 healing hands get 4 paws.
Boy, thank you.
Ready to run. Good stuff for sure. Katie says it's about prevention of injury, not preparation to run, and She says she'll be following those teams from back home in Illinois. Meantime, getting kids involved in the Iditarod and reading. We'll tell you how mushers and dogs are inspiring students with the Iditarod program. They love reading by combining superstar dogs and books. Why not? Anna and Christy Barrington and a couple of their friends visited students at Ptarmigan Elementary. They came with a message about the importance of reading. Part of ExxonMobil's Iditarod program. And Iditarod, it uses the race to motivate kids to read, kids reading pages. And as they do it, they move their musher and dogs along on the trail on their way to Nome. Great chance to use the excitement of the race to help kids learn a lifetime skill.
Reading is so important for kids because it opens up doors of opportunities. It depends on what you want to do. If you want to be an electrician or a doctor, whatever you want to be in life, you need to know how to read.
ExxonMobil sharing updates on the progress of the readers on its Facebook page. And for more information on how your youngster can get involved, you know where to go, KTVA.com. We've said that a few times tonight. How about a chance to find out what it's like to be on a sled? Not riding to Nome, but you get the idea. Students with special needs took part in their own Iditarod on the park strip this week. High Country Dog Sled Tour is setting aside a day during the Fur-Rondi Winter Carnival, giving those free rides out. Many of the students are in the Anchorage School District's Adult Community Transition Program. ASD staff students with intellectual disabilities graduated high school, helping them transition for jobs and get them those lifetime skills like managing their own finances. That's all the time we have. Let's go to Nome. Thanks. Good night.